All right, how many times have you heard it's the little things that add up? Every year, companies spend hundreds of billions of dollars on office management items like IT, telecommunications, and transportation. And our next guest now says if they took a closer look in these areas, they could be saving billions in costs. Billions which could be used to hire and expand their businesses. John Winsett is the CEO of NPI Financial, a company that helps businesses get fair market value for their transportation and tech purchases. John, good to see you.
Yeah, good seeing you, Chris.
All right, we talk about government spending all the time. They're spending too much. They got to cut back. But what you've been able to find is that oftentimes in either private or public companies, they're spending way too much as well.
Oh, they are. And there's like three spend categories that they overspend with historically, and it's transportation, technology, telecom, and energy. And so we help our clients understand where they're overspending in those areas.
It seems to me like it's easier said than done. Companies should be able to go in and cut through the fat. Like we've seen a lot of companies do this. They've cut expenses, and that's why they've been able to get bottom line growth over the last couple of years. But it seems easier said than done. And what you're finding is that it really isn't. They don't see these savings.
Well, I mean, pricing's all over the map, number one. Number two is there's no transparency into what the things should be priced for. And so it's very complex. And so what we do is we bring external visibility of what other companies are paying and bring that to our clients so they can understand where they're overspending.
Now, one of the things you talk about is shipping, for example.
Yeah.
People, every company uses shipping, but they don't realize that they could actually be saving quite a bit of money if they just went in and, I guess, looked at the pricing that they're getting versus what some of the other companies are getting.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a retailer, for example, that may spend $50 million a year shipping things around and doing promotions, free shipping, free returns, shipping adds up. But if you go in to see that $50 million, they could be overspending by $10 million.
Right.
And so if you identify those areas where you're overspending and then work with the carriers to get that pricing down to where it should be, that's all money that goes straight to the bottom line.
You know, people always talk about when you go into a retail establishment, say you're looking to buy a big screen TV, negotiate because you never know what's going to happen. It really is the same thing in the business world, isn't it? And very few businesses really negotiate with their vendors and suppliers when they probably could.
Well, it's hard for them to. I mean, they like to think that they're negotiating well, but without having the playbook, without having a Kelley Blue Book, for example, of IT or transportation, it's very difficult to figure out where you should be. We work with some of the best and the brightest, GE, Boeing, Barnes & Noble, those type of companies, and they work very, very hard to get the very best price, but without having to know where the market value should be, it's very difficult.
Now, you mentioned some of these big companies that you work with. Based on what you've been able to find, how much money can they save, and what could that possibly equate to in terms of jobs? Because that really is the bottom line right now with everything we're talking about.
Well, we've been doing this for about 8 years, and so we have a very good track record of a history of what companies can save in these spend categories. We extrapolated that out to the S&P 500, and we did an analysis, and we came up with $53 billion of potential savings if companies benchmarked their pricing. And that would translate to 1 million jobs potentially that could be added to the economy.
That's good stuff. All right, now, what a lot of people don't know is that John and I were fraternity brothers back in college a long time ago. And, John, you are clearly the most successful of all of our fraternity brothers, without a doubt. But they're also telling me we're out of time, so we don't have a time to really discuss all the things that took place some 20 years ago.